Alright, so I took the liberty of leaving Whitechapel and going back to the hospital because there was a new dialogue option, and I am happy to say that I have caught Dr. Tippett doing his sketchiness. So we're gonna check that out now.
Damn it! Why is this so difficult every time?
It looks like he's shooting up.
That is better. That is better. I will make it through one more night.
Wow. Dr. Tippett is a junkie. And he doesn't see me in the window. Of course not. What's up, bro?
Good evening, Dr. Tippett.
You nice and high now?
Dr. Reed, any good news to share?
Not really.
I know you're taking drugs, Corcoran. Why take such a risk?
I need it to endure the long shifts. We have no idea how long the epidemic will last. We can't let it win.
I understand the gesture, Doctor. An immediate answer to an emergency situation, but this can't be a long-term solution.
Thank you for your understanding, my dear colleague. And be assured, I have total control of my consumption.
Sure you do.
Goodbye, Doctor.
Also on my way here, there was a little event here, right there, and it was because this guy, Mason Swanborough, the one I had never found that was her brother, he had been turned into a vampire, and I killed him on the way here. As a result of my Whitechapel slaughter, I'm sure.
Hello, Jonathan. How are things on the West End front?
Complicated, my friend. The rich and powerful feel threatened by the disease, and have asked me to put an end to it.
Yes. It is odd how resolving a crisis suddenly increases in urgency when it affects those who matter.
Do you know Aloysius Dawson, the famous tycoon, is well versed in vampire and occult knowledge?
No, I did not. But that is no surprise. For half a century, it has been quite the trend for English nobility to join secret societies and occult circles.
Did he contact the Brotherhood of St. Paul? Try to join your group?
It would not surprise me, but I am certain he's never been a member.
But Aloysius Dawson is only a rich merchant.
Yes, richer than Croesus. Wealth is more respected than title these days, even in England.
It looks like the epidemic is spreading to the western districts of London. I am trying to locate the source of the infection.
It won't be an easy task, my friend. This disease is highly contagious.
Since this epidemic is evidently linked to the vampire curse, we must find the original carrier to understand where it comes from.
I admire your logic, Jonathan, but be careful. rationality, when it comes to your kind, is not always a reliable lens.
Do you not think epidemiology could be helpful in this matter? To retrace the origin of infection through time and topology?
If anyone can perform such a miracle, it will be you, Dr. Reed.
Does the Brotherhood of St. Paul know anything about the Ascalon Club?
Well, I'm afraid that's unlikely. Ascalon is a sensitive topic, and whatever material the Brotherhood has, I may not have access to.
Who could answer me then?
Usher Talltree, our current primate, may be the only one able to answer you. He's a discreet man who lives in the West End.
Thank you for your...
Okay, well, now back to the West End to clear some things up. Oh yeah, one more thing.
Done.
Well, I watered my plant.
Over there! There's one! And then vermin! I'll send you to hell. Don't like that! I said stay away, sir! It ain't human! Kill it!
I cannot... enter.
Oh, Christ! Watch it! It's a killer! Die, vermin!
Sometimes when you come out from the loading screen, there's like an invisible wall in front of you. Not making things easier, let me tell you.
Put an end to you!
That building is under quarantine. Could this be what I'm looking for?
Support the equality between men and women. Women die too.
Connect me to this city anymore.
I'm sick of not being able to come that way. Alright, let's see. We're gonna go down here and go left and look for Emily.
I should leave the city.
We meet again, Mr. Kimura. In a more peaceful situation.
Dr. Reed. Still visiting London by night?
We must both be nocturnal animals, you and I. After your captivity, I thought you'd be more cautious.
Breathing the cold night air helps calm my mind, sir. I've had the most frightening nightmares since I escaped that filthy jail.
How is the situation in the West End?
I've heard rumors about armed men patrolling and fighting infected citizens in these very streets. I was lucky they didn't shoot me when I was abducted.
May I ask you what you do for a living, Mr. Kimura?
I was a landlord. A wealthy one. And not a very kind one, I realized recently.
Why this sudden epiphany? Is it because of your near-death experience?
I was already feeling nostalgic about Weymouth, my hometown. With recent events, I'm thinking about going back there.
What can you tell me about your abduction?
If you really want to know, I was locked in that building for 3 or 4 days. My jailer was insane, mumbling about sacrifice and voices.
And why didn't he sacrifice you?
That was the weirdest part. He claimed to spill blood was not enough. It had to be done when some stars were aligned.
Which stars?
That's the whole point. He wanted me to talk to him about some Red Queen configuration or constellation. I've never heard of such an astronomical term.
What did he say about voices?
He constantly whined about the voice of his master, ordering him to do terrible things. He wanted to silence the voice by offering blood. My blood.
Sounds familiar.
Why are you so nostalgic for your hometown, Tadao?
I was focused so much on making money, I almost forgot that my relatives and friends are threatened by this epidemic.
Have you no friends at all?
Over the years, I'm afraid my greed turned me into my friend's adversary, while I became friends with my professional rivals.
Those you grew up with didn't share your views on money and success.
Would you believe I was once a member of poetry circles and an astronomy club? We were young, such joyful dreamers then. But I stopped laughing long ago.
Have you heard anything from your family?
I was not only a bad landlord, I was also a bad husband. I've not seen my wife and son for years. Busy, busy, busy.
At least now you're ready to go back and see them. But don't be surprised if your son bears a grudge, sir.
You make it sound like you suffered from an absent father yourself, Dr. Reed. Well, I'll keep your warning in mind.
Goodbye, Mr.
Maybe I should leave the city.
Hello? Is anyone there?
Jonathan, is that you? I did not know you were back in London. Oh, my dear Johnny, I'm so sorry for your loss. Mary was such a sweetheart.
Thank you, Venus. May I come in?
I was going to bed, actually.
Let me in.
I'm sure you can spare me a few minutes. For old time's sake.
Of course you may enter, Jonathan. Know that you are always welcome here. But at this hour of night?
Yeah, you'll be okay. Now let me take all your stuff before I leave you.
I remember when Mary came here with her husband and her son. They were such a beautiful family.
It's locked, all right. It's a pleasure to see you again, Venus.
So you returned from the war in one piece too. Thank God. My Clarence is back home too.
How is the old rascal?
Probably outside, chasing ghosts and chimeras. Clarence has changed a lot since he returned from the war, you know.
How have you been since the last time we met? How long has it been? 3 years now?
I've done my duty, like all British women. You have no idea what it was like to wait for months without knowing if I'd still be a wife or a widow.
I understand. Luckily, this part of town has been saved from the worst of the bombings, from what I've seen.
Yes, and it's also true about the epidemic. The flu has killed here too, of course, but not on such a large scale as in other parts of town.
Have you noticed anything peculiar about the neighborhood recently?
You mean except for your return to town? No. Oh, and again, Jonathan, please accept my condolences for your sister.
Why is my return so surprising?
It's more an unexpected happy end than a surprise. You and Clarence, back from the war. You have no idea how hard it's been for me.
Thank you, Venus. It was so sudden. And I've been so busy, I haven't spoken to anyone about it.
I wish I could have assisted at the funeral, but you know, it's been so quick. And what with the epidemic in the streets?
There's no need to apologize, my dear. It's normal, considering the circumstances.
No, it's not. I am sure that Clarence has not even thought to present you his condolences. He is too busy with his penny dreadful stories.
Venus, why do you worry so much about your family's reputation?
Everyone laughs at Clarence now. And they avoid me because they believe I share his insane opinions. I'm a leper in my own community.
I'm investigating the source of the epidemic in this district. Have you noticed anything unusual?
The McPhersons. I heard they locked themselves in their own house.
They could just be afraid of getting sick.
Perhaps you're right. But if I were you, I'd pay them a visit. A big house, reachable through a courtyard, to the north of the railway bridge.
Goodbye for now.
You know that you're always welcome here.
I thought that was Emily's house, but it's not. Well, that can't be right. There's like nowhere to go up to either. Okay, well, I'll come back to that. Invisible wall.
Forget his name.
bastard.
This is despicable.
Alright, this is where I got killed before. Where is she? Oh.
You thought I was dead too, didn't you? No, I was just pretending. Doris told me I could have been a great actress.
You killed your family.
They mocked my talent. Ah!
This is much easier this time already. Switch guns real quick. Look at that, I even knocked her down.
I've never seen such a radical mutation. Could it be a new stage in the disease's evolution?
Alright, that was great. Much easier.
So, this girl took lessons at the famous Doris Fletcher acting school. I have this thirst for blood.
Hello. I'm so sorry for your loss, Jonathan.
Here we go. That's better.
No invitation is needed to enter this building. That can't be a good sign. No sign of a struggle. It seems Charlotte's friend knew the killer and let him in. Emily wanted to become a vampire. Something must have gone wrong. Someone is responsible for this mess. But who? Blood. I should follow the trail.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
I could ask you the same question.
I'm the Marquis de Bois-Colombes, and I strongly invite you to find your own game, sir.
I intend to do so very soon, thank you. But for the moment, I'd like to shed light on the death of a young woman killed by a vampire.
A young woman killed by a vampire? Oh, you're joking, right? Oh, I do love the British sense of humor.
And who exactly are you?
I am Jacques-Michel Guillaume Florimond de Marquis de Bois-Colombes, at your service, my dear cousin.
It's quite a mouthful.
Dear cousin, are we related?
We could be of the same blood, my dear. I tend to consider all Econs as family, don't you?
You're French, but your English is quite good.
I was born in France, sir, but I consider myself a traveler of this world. So many countries, so many tantalizing tastes.
What are you doing here?
I recently decided to visit London. I've always dreamed of visiting a city on the verge of collapse. Such a delicate, yet intense spectacle.
You take pleasure from others' misery.
I have been a totally depraved and immoral creature since the day I was reborn, sir. And probably before.
What do you plan to do here?
Take pleasure. Take pictures. Enjoy the show. Have fun. Believe me, I won't be the only foreign immortal who bought a ticket to the fair.
I followed the trail of blood from her room to here.
Oh, you're referring to that young woman. Yes, the meeting turned messy. I'm afraid I ruined my last redingote.
So you admit you murdered her?
I admit nothing, my good sir. I only regret the blood of that girl staining my clothes. Oh, blood can be so messy.
What happened?
She wanted to become one of us. Not the first time I have received such a proposal, but I must admit her direct approach tempted me.
And then what?
The body rejected my blood. It happens, you know, sometimes even with voluntary prey. At least her gurglings brought me some fun, until the artery burst.
I believe you, sir. Emily's diary confirms your statement.
Oh, Emily was her name. Quite charming. Well, mystery solved then.
Yes, I suppose so. You can go.
And so can you. Farewell, sir. May you enjoy the spectacle of this fallen city as much as I do.
I'm going to kill you before you start screaming again. Put you out of your misery.
Wait!
Good evening.
I won't.
I thought I had it.
You need...
Die too in this war.
Good evening, Miss Ashbury.
And good evening.
I have found out what happened to your friend, Emily.
I can handle the truth. There's no need to hide the bloody details.
Your friend was planning to become a vampire. She thought she'd met an honest one and made a deal with him. Unfortunately, Emily did not survive the process.
My mother told me many times about the risks of being turned. I often suspected she exaggerated the danger to avoid me being tempted.
No, the risk is real. Have you any idea what a body has to endure? To become an organism entirely consumed by its need to process and recombine blood.
I should never have talked to Emily about vampires. I never thought she'd actually try it without me. Thank you, sir. Here, take this for your discretion.
Oh.
Goodbye, Sharps.
She's been...
Look at that. Oh, and yet it is not as good as mine. Probably because it needs to be upgraded. Let's see, now we have to turn this in.
Please, sir. Whether you need to buy something or not, I am happy. Good evening, Dr. Reed.
I have found a restaurant that could satisfy you, Mr. Russell. The most intriguing and exotic restaurant in London.
Really? You have piqued my interest. Where is it?
It's a place where you eat in complete darkness and try to identify your meal without anything but your palate.
My, oh my, how interesting. It could even be fun to eat a little poisson et frites that way. Oh, thank you, Dr. Reed. Please, have this for your research.
I may have a look at you.
Any strangers come into your house? Have you noticed anything
Oh, both of them at once. From behind, really, lady? Clouds.
So the husband had an affair with Doris Fletcher. Doris Fletcher seems to be the missing link here. It can't just be a coincidence. I should go to her. Acting school.
Alright, well, we're gonna confront Doris Fletcher and go talk to Lady Ashbury, and I will go ahead and do that next session.